Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Coffee Tea, You and Me with Coach Powell. I am so glad to be here with you today. Let me get rid of this music. I'm so glad to be here with you today and provide the opportunity for entrepreneurs, small businesses all over the world to start thinking differently about how they're going to do business development, how they're going to strategize, how they're going to move forward. And today's topic is essential to your ability to create opportunities in your business and create opportunities for other people to understand what your business is all about and what you're trying to accomplish. And even if you don't have a business, today's topic is so important because if you want to be a business development expert, if you want to be a business development guru, you're going to have to learn the very, very, very valuable lessons that we're going to be sharing today. And I'm so excited to do so. I thank everyone for logging in, for joining in to this discussion. This is one of many discussions we've already had about developing your business mindset, about developing your business development strategy, techniques. We're going to be talking about this for the next couple of weeks. We've already covered so many valuable lessons. And if you stay with us throughout this series, we're going to be covering even more. If you want to understand how to pursue qualifications for first mover positioning in your business, if you want to have a deeper discovery with your clients and your future clients, if you want to develop multi-level access and create lifetime value with the people that you work with, whether you're working with investors, whether you're working with referral sources, or you're working with potential supporters in any way, you're going to want to understand how to do this, because when you do, you're going to sustain performance. You're going to have faster alignment to everything and everyone that you talk to. You're going to have clearer value communication, and you're going to have a reputation that yields renewals and advocacy. What am I talking about? I'm talking about understanding how to become a business development guru. Now, today is part 5 of our very valuable training that we're delivering. Now, understand, guys, this is me. When I do training, I pull back all the stops. We don't have any excuses about what we can't do and what we can't do and what we're going to do. All that stuff we've already worked out, we've already worked through, and we know what we're talking about. We know what we're going to be sharing. And I'm just going to give you just a hint, just a taste of what we're going to be talking about today. Number one, we're going to be talking about what the business mindset is. You have to have a business development mindset. Number two, we're going to be talking about what the business development mindset is not. We're going to be talking about the neuroscience behind business development confidence. We're going to be talking about the 4 core business development mindset principles. We're going to be sharing the common mindset barriers and how to reframe those barriers. We're going to be talking about evidence-based development tools. And then finally, we're going to share some of the references that we have that you should find easily accessible. So first off, we have to say thank you to everybody who makes these talks and these opportunities possible for you. These are people who sponsor Coach Powell Training Development and provide the opportunity for us to continue. First and foremost, I must thank my fraternity brothers. My fraternity brothers of Phi Beta Sigma, through their program, Bigger and Better Business, has made this program available for you. They contribute their thoughts, their ideas, everything that we need that's needed to develop me into the coach that I need to be for entrepreneurs, for business leaders all over the world. And I'm super proud of them. I'm no longer their business development director for the chapter. However, I'm still on the team and I'm still a part of it, and they still support what we're doing here at Coach Power Training Development. So I thank them first and foremost. I couldn't do this without them. The second person I want to thank is my good friend, and I consider him a brother, my friend Darren Shoemate. without the contributions, the effort, and the promises that we work on together. I'm his coach, and he's my friend and confidant. So we do a lot of work together on environmental justice for anybody who's interested in engineering and data centers and so on and so forth. There's so much coming that I can't even talk about it today, but there's so much coming down the pike that I know you guys are going to be phenomenally interested in. And there's so many more who pour in to this effort and this opportunity. So I want you to be engaged. I want you to sharpen your pencils, and some of the stuff I'm going to ask you to do and type into the chat, whether you are watching this online today live, or you're watching it later on demand on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching it from. The chat is going to be up and participate. So I want you to participate and I want you to engage. First level of engagement I want you to do is share with us where you're calling from, what your business title is, even if you don't have a business title right now. Tell us a little bit of something about the business that you want to start. Put that information in the chat. Let us know who you are. Give us and by the way, if you have a promotion or a product that you're selling or something that you want us to pay attention to that deals with business and business development, please put the information in the chat. Post it, share it, contact information, whatever you need to give yourself an opportunity to shine for other entrepreneurs and other businesses that might be watching now or later. Again, the chat's going to be active even after the show is developed or after the show is moving forward. So feel free to take advantage of that. Also, and I can't say this more stringently, it's so important. If you have something that we're doing, if you like it, if you share it, if you want to sign on and have your friends watch it and so on and so forth, however you want to do that, please do so. Let us know how you're thinking, what you're feeling, because that is vital information. It's crucial to me. Feedback is critical. And I want to make sure that whatever we're doing, however we're doing it, works for you. Now, what we don't do, and I'll be very clear about this, we don't do a lot of death by PowerPoint presentations. We could do that, but that would mean that we get the kind of interaction we want. We want you to be thinking. We want you to be working on your own personal laptops or whatever you're doing to take notes or whatever you're doing to engage with the conversation, not the content. This is about conversation. So let's talk about it. First things first, what is the business development mindset? When you think of a business development mindset, what do you think about? What does it mean to you? How does it affect you? And I want you to do something, a little exercise I want to put you through right now. Put it in the chat. You can go through or go on your computer, do whatever you need to do, and find the synonyms of the word mindset. I'm gonna let you do that and give you a few minutes. And all the synonyms that you can find to the word mindset. And I want you to choose 3 synonyms that feel the best to you when you think about mindset. And I'm going to do that little exercise myself while you're here. So I'm looking through the synonyms and I see things like sentiment. I see things like mental state. I see things like ethos, demeanor, attitude, mood, perspective, philosophy. And I'm going to choose my favorite. I already know the first one that works for me is attitude. I love attitude. So I'm going to go ahead and type attitude in the chat right now. Attitude, if I can only spell, I'd be a genius. They would love me a lot more at Kent State if I could actually spell. The next thing, I'm going to choose another synonym. I like attitude. I like inclination. So I'm going to type in inclination. I like the next synonym I'm going to use. I think I like, yes, temperament. And I'm going to tell you why I chose these synonyms in just a second. Did I type that right? Sometimes I can't see what I'm typing. Okay, so here are my three synonyms that I enjoy when it comes to dealing with the thought of mindset. First one's attitude. Obviously, um, having the positive attitude, having the right kind of attitude when you're working with others is super important. And one of the reasons why that's super important because attitude is infectious, right? If you are upbeat and positive and encouraging in everything you do and everything you say with others, that becomes a part of how they receive you as always being positive, always being upbeat, always being encouraging. And that attitude is so infectious that it creates those feelings inside of others because we have what's called mirror neurons that we're working with when we work with other people. This is why it's important that if you get the chance to be on a webinar, a seminar, a Zoom call, or whatever that is virtually, turn your camera on. Yes, of course, you want backgrounds that don't embarrass you, right? But you want to turn your camera on because, again, people need to see your nonverbals. They need to see your visual connection. They need to see your attitude. They need to understand that you are a positive, supportive, encouraging person. That's going to help them to even get that much closer. Now, if you're trying to communicate with somebody and they're looking at a black box that basically has your name and that's all in it, that is very impersonal, less than intimate, and it doesn't indicate to them that you're paying attention to them. You want an attitude that, again, supports all of the neurological things that attitude can support. More on that later. The second word that I chose, and I put it in the chat, is inclination. As a business development person, you have to be action oriented. You have to be focused on what the next step needs to be to progress the relationship. Now, if you look back on the initial screen that was up when you signed on to this, you may have seen the 9 steps to masterful professional relationships that I developed many, many years ago. And amongst those steps is an important aspect is making promises, is being a person that has promise. That means you have potential, you have talent, you have something to share, and then making the commitment to share, making that upfront commitment. I have something to offer that is valuable to you. Now, you don't know what's valuable to everybody walking and talking, so you have to be very careful to take the first step before you make the second step. The first step is listen up. Learn how to listen in a way that makes whatever you are about to promise to someone and commit to someone, they already want to receive it. They already love it. They already are interested in developing it and working through it and making that a part of who and what they do. Again, this is important. Attitude, inclination, and the last thing is temperament. Temperament has more to do with how you receive the universe around you. Attitude might have to do with what you put out. Inclination might have to do with how you act and how you move. Because once you receive something, you have to act on it. You act on it in a way that makes sense, right? That helps other people, again, trust you. And then the last is temperament. Temperament is critical. Those are my 3 words. What are your 3 words? What are the 3 words that are synonymous with mindset that will help you remember how to work through what we consider business development. All right. So if you haven't done so already, please put your 3 synonyms to the word mindset in the chat. Again, whether you are watching now live or later on in the future, it doesn't matter to me, but put that information in the chat. Okay, let's move on. What is the next phase that we're going to be talking about? So when you think about what the mindset of what business development is and how you characterize or complement that mindset, you got to think about how curious you are, how interested you are, what you have to offer, what you bring to the table for either, again, investors or high-level clients or referral sources or supporters of any type of stakeholder. All of them you have to approach with the right mindset. If you don't approach and deal with them with the right mindset, you're going to lose opportunities and you're not going to create opportunities. Now, let me tell you what the business mindset is not. You may have guessed it from the 3 words that I've already chosen. It's not showing up at any time, in any way, as a person who has the wrong attitude. What's the wrong attitude? The wrong attitude is a person who's not positive. The wrong attitude is a person who's not supportive. The wrong attitude is a person who doesn't deliver on the promises, on the things that they commit to, on the things that they say. And it resonates immediately when you're a person that's closed off, when you don't have the emotional intelligence to open up and share with other people. People read that immediately. That's why, again, that black box thing, that's super important. You don't want to be the kind of person who might be doing something else when you're talking to another person, when you're listening to another person. You don't want to do that. You want to come off as fully and completely engaged, right? You want to be action oriented, right? So you can't be a person who sits back and waits too long. Now, what do I mean by that? In listening, I want you to think about being an active listener. And there's like 12 steps that you have to follow to really, really be a super active listener. If you're interested in talking about that or thinking about that, give me a call, text me, whatever. We'll share with you some content and some ideas about listening up and how to make sure you do that correctly. When it comes to business development, it's super important. You can't do business development without learning how to be a great, amazingly good listener. I think I might add that as a part of our lecture series as we move forward in this work. So you have to be action oriented. You have to be a person who receives information and can respond in a way that makes sense, in a way that feels good, in a way that adds to the meaning, significance, and relevance of every moment that you're in with a client, with a referral source, with a possible investor, or any type of stakeholder. I hope that resonates with any of you all. And if it doesn't, let me know. If it does, let me know. Put it in the chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me how you're feeling about it. The last thing is temperament, right? So we said temperament, and I think I spelled that wrong, but I can't see the small writing anyway. The right kind of temperament, the right kind of response, the right kind of feeling and emotion behind that response needs to show up in your response. But now, if you have bad feelings about listening to people, bad feelings about people in general, maybe you don't like people, then what's going to show up is a person who jumps in too soon to discuss something or waits too long to jump in and share something of value, something of meaning, something of significance. And when you're doing business development, you cannot risk laying back in the cut and waiting until somebody begs you for a solution. If you know the answer, if you have the solution in a conversation, the time to share it is in that conversation. You want to make sure that you're doing things like, for instance, saying, you know what, I got a great idea about that. Would you mind if I write that down and bookmark it for a later share with you? That's amazing. What does that say to the person who you're talking to? It shows them that you're listening, you care, and you're going to be systematic in how you're doing things with them. So make sure that you don't want to disrupt them without their permission. They may say to you, oh no, tell me your idea right now. And if you think it's appropriate, then share the idea. But if you don't think it's appropriate or to add to the conversation that you're trying to have, then hold back and make sure that you reserve it for later time and you do share it at a later time because you want to make a promise and you want to follow up on that promise. Right? Remember those first 3 steps: listen, promise, follow up, follow through. Right? Very important. If you're getting anything else out of this discussion, I need you to get that and be clear about it. So that's thing 1. You have to understand what the mindset is and what the mindset is not. That's thing 2. Thing 3, there is a neuroscience behind business development confidence. Notice I said confidence, not competence. And there's a reason for that. You have to understand literally how the brain works to do this well. When you understand the neuroscience behind it all, oh my God, you can become a guru. You really can. But you have to spend some time really thinking through the effort. You have to think through what it means to you, what it means to other people, how it may work. And in understanding that, this is the key to emotional intelligence, executive function, resilience when it comes to dealing with people who might be bad actors until they work with you long enough to become good actors, right? When you understand that, you're going to create amazing relationships with people who matter. Let me repeat. When you get to the point where you understand the neurological responses, the neuroscience, the emotional resonantial content that resonates with people emotionally, then you're going to become a genius level business development person. And you'll be able to help your team stay on track. You'll be able to help yourself stay on track. And you'll be able to do the things that you thought were impossible. But again, it requires effort. It requires training. It requires you to be thoughtful and connected to other people. So let's get into it. What is the neuroscience behind business development? First of all, the amygdala. The amygdala is that spot on the back portion of your brain. It's really back here in the back portion of your brain, and it interprets risk. The amygdala is there to protect you from rejection, uncertainty, and ambiguity. You have an amygdala, and so do people that you're going to be talking to and working with. And you need to understand how to move the conversation and move the issues that you're dealing with from rejection, uncertainty, ambiguity to acceptance, clarity, and certainty, right? Acceptance, clarity, and certainty. That is how you develop your business development. Confidence. You first have to be competent in order to be confident, right? The next trigger is that threat response. You have to worry about that amygdala because that amygdala will have you reducing access to the prefrontal cortex. This is where the magic happens when it comes to strategic thinking, planning, and framing. You can't be working from fear. You can't be working from doubt, blame, shame. Shout out to my girl who is the king of all of that. Oh my God, I'll remember her name in just a second. But she did the definitive work and TED Talk on making sure you don't let fear stand in front of your ability to move forward. And when you get this right, you can inspire others to, again, use their prefrontal cortex to do strategic thinking, to do planning, to do framing. And it helps if you're good at it and you're great at it right off the bat. Because when you are, again, because of the mirror neurons, this is another neurological thing, you're giving it off and people are receiving it and they're becoming it as you give off the energy that makes this happen. Because business development is dangerous when you don't strengthen that neural loop. And what happens is people then start to get into avoidance, relief, and repeat. So if you mention something or you do something that makes people go, oh my God, they're going to avoid you. They're going to stop. They're going to figure out how to, the amygdala is going to kick in and figure out, oh my God, rejection is coming, uncertainty is coming, ambiguity is coming, and they're going to look for relief. And so that means they're going to back away from you, the cause of the danger, right? They're going to, what do they have? Choices. They're going to freeze. They're going to retreat. They're going to run. They're going to do all the things they can, even if it's not physical. They're going to do all this emotionally. And then they're immediately going to feel relieved that they saved themselves from having to deal with all the negativity that you're bringing to their space. And then they're going to repeat those cycles. Every time they got to see you, every time they got to deal with you, that's going to danger, avoidance, relief, repeat. Danger, avoidance, relief, repeat. And once you get in that cycle, it's very difficult to get out of it. So my suggestion is, as a BD person, as a business development person, do not get involved with anything that's going to cause somebody to have an amygdala response. Keep it safe, keep it easy, and as you increase the intensity of whatever it is you want to talk about, whatever it is you want to offer, whatever you want to be, I suggest that you get permission to take it to the next level. How do you get permission? What am I talking about? Sometimes you have to flat out ask for permission, and sometimes you have to say, "Listen, I think we're doing great, wonderful right now. How do you think? Give me some feedback on where you think we're going so far, because we got the next level to go to. We got something else we need to talk about. Are we doing good? Are we doing good for time? Are we doing good for stress? Are we doing good for whatever?" Ask those questions. Again, what does it say when you ask those questions? It says that you care about how they feel, what they're thinking, and what causes them to move into that dangerous area we talked about before. Now, it may seem that it takes a lot of energy and effort to do this, but trust me, with practice, you kind of get to it flawlessly. And it makes it easy for you to embrace the 4 principles of business development mindset that I'm going to talk to you about right now. And here are the 4 principles. 4 core principles of the business development mindset. 1, curiosity over pitching. 2, clarity over assumptions. 3, consistency over intensity. 4, service over selling. Now, you may think that these 4 phrases seem obvious, but unless you embrace them as principal behavior, you're going to miss the opportunities that are there. So all great business development starts with questions, not answers. I repeat, if you're asking questions, you're on the right side of the business development opportunity. If you're always providing answers, or you're always talking or trying to share information, you're on the wrong side of the business development. Questions like, and this, again, curiosity over pitching, right? What's changing in your world is a great question to ask. What's becoming more important to you this quarter is a great question to ask. What would success look like for you? It's a great question to ask. When you ask these kinds of questions, not only are you showing that you're interested, again, curiosity over pitching, but you're showing that you care. And that's emotional. That's massaging that prefrontal cortex. That's opening up the oxytocin. They're creating the wonderful feel good drugs, the serotonin, and not drugs, but hormones, I should say. The oxytocin, the serotonin, and there's the dopamine. You want that, right? In order to do that, you got to start asking the right questions. Clarity over assumptions. You want to be so clear that there's no second guessing. And a good BD professional will ask questions like, so the next step that we're going to take is X by Y. Is literally, we're going to do this by then. Does this match your understanding? Again, seeking feedback, permission to move forward, all these things. These are questions that you can ask that keep moving forward. You've provided clarity, and now you're asking. So the next step is this by this date. Does this match your understanding or your expectations? Or do you want to see something different? This by that. Now, you might get into sales tactics, which is either or close, right? But that's a whole different world. And I'm not talking about that today. I'm talking about business development. Consistency over intensity. That's number 3. Business development is built through small, repeatable actions, not heroic outbursts. Let me say that again, because I know some of you all are trying to be a hero all the time, and that's not what's required. It's built on small, repeatable actions, not heroic outbursts. One outreach message, one discovery question, one clarified commitment. And repeat, one outreach message, one discovery question, one clarified commitment. It's all you need all the time in any interaction. I understand sometimes when people doing discovery, they want to ask 15, 20 questions because that is a full discovery. But unless you have permission to take it to the next level and do that full out discovery process, might take you an hour to really do all that. You want one small discovery question that becomes a lead in to the bigger outreach, bigger opportunity. You want one small outreach message that becomes the lead in to the discovery position. And you want one small clarifying commitment question that becomes the lead in to other clarifying commitments. Again, consistency over intensity. Now, when you have this systematic strapped into your or programmed into your CRM systems, your email systems, your phone systems, your text messaging systems, and you have scripts and all that kind of stuff that keep you to this methodology and strategy, I promise you, you're going to win more than you lose when it comes to business development. The last of the 4 core business development mindset principles is service over selling. The goal is to help clients make better decisions, not to push solutions. So again, let me repeat the 4 core principles of the business development mindset: curiosity, clarity, consistency, and service. Curiosity, clarity, consistency, and service. I promise you, if you practice these 4 principles, if you keep them in front of you, if you keep them in your strategy system or your strategic mindset, you're going to be an excellent business development person. The next thing I want to talk to you about are the 5 common mindset barriers and their reframes. All right. And there's actually only 4 barriers. It's not 5. I'm on number 5 in my system, but I'm talking about 4 barriers and very common mindset barriers that people have when they think about or do business development. The first one is, I'm not a salesperson. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. People don't want to be called, referenced, or even think of themselves as salesperson. I get it. And how you should reframe that in your mind, if you actually are a salesperson, right, is in the business development world, right? Think about what business development is. Business development is listening, learning, and clarifying, not selling. That's how you reframe it. Business development is listening, learning, and clarifying, not selling. So you want to reframe that idea that I'm a salesperson. Oh my God, this is horrible. I can't. No, I'm a business development expert. I specialize in listening, learning, and clarifying, not selling. The other common mindset barrier that people deal with is, I don't want to bother people. Oh, it's too late for me to call them. It's too early for me to call them. It's lunchtime for me to call them. Pretty soon, you're just not making any contact with people any way, shape, or form. You don't want to text them. You don't want to email them. You don't want to call them. You don't want to bother them. And what's happening is, in the meantime, you're losing opportunities. Your company's losing opportunities because you don't want to bother people. So how do we reframe that? A great reframe for that is, professionals appreciate thoughtful check-ins and insight. Everybody that you're working with is going to appreciate. They're going to love you for it. They're going to respect you for it. Thoughtful check-ins and insights. If you're not doing that, if you're not, sharing thoughtful information, if you're not checking in to see if, they receive that information that you share with them, then you're not in a relationship. You may have used to at once been in a relationship. You're certainly not furthering the relationship. So get rid of that thought process. I don't want to bother people. If you have something meaningful to offer, then you have every reason to offer thoughtful check-ins and insights. The third common mindset barriers that mess with people. I see it all the time. I don't know what to say. Not knowing what to say is an indication of a lack of preparation, right? And when you don't know what to say, that's not a reason to panic. It's not a reason to be fearful. You just need to reframe that and understand that. And here's the reframe: curiosity is enough. One good question opens the door. Curiosity is enough. All you have to do is ask one good question. It will always lead you to the next thing in any relationship, whether it's professional or personal. By the way, I teach these lessons to everyone all the time, and you can use them for good or bad. I'm assuming that you're not going to use them to manipulate others. And I want you to use them only to influence in a positive, encouraging, and friendly way. Right? So I said it, but let's continue. The fourth and most valuable lesson or thought process when it comes to the common mindset barriers that people have for business development is, I'm afraid of rejection. That is the most popular, most useful thing. I hear it all the time. They don't say I'm scared of rejection, but they are, right? I need you to reframe that. Think about it this way. Instead of worrying yourself about rejection, think of rejection as data, not judgment. It may sound like judgment, but I need you to reframe it when you hear it. Rejection is data, not judgment. I'll tell you a quick story, then we're going to end this because I got to move on to some other things. But next week I'll come back. I'll finish up this segment of dealing with mindset of business development um, programs. And I'll tell you a quick story about me. I used to, when I was considering myself a cold call cowboy, meaning I would pick up the phone and talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere, and get on it in terms of, what I was trying to push. And that was the wrong thing to do, the wrong methodology, the wrong way to be. However, what I learned from the rejection was phenomenally encouraging to my ability to do things. Because I talk to people, I'd ask them, listen, I see that you don't want to move forward, you don't want to do this, you don't want to buy my project or program and so on and so forth. Would you mind asking me or answer or tell me why? Just as a feedback. I understand, I'm not trying to push you, you're not going to have to buy anything, I promise you. But why are you saying no? I'm asking for feedback. I get the feedback. I write down the feedback. And I say, okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And after I've gotten so much rejection, what do I also have? Feedback, data that helps me make adjustments that I need to make. And I made those adjustments and became an amazing person on the phone. Besides the tricks of putting the mirror up in front of myself as I was communicating to people and seeing my own smile, right? And seeing my own positive attitude, seeing my own, because again, practicing the mirror neurons on myself as I'm doing something. I hated making the phone calls. I hated doing the outreach. This was back in the day before we had all the text messages. We could hide behind emails and text messages and all that kind of stuff, right? But it was horrible practice to do that. And I learned how to do it well. I used to leave the most amazing phone messages to people. When answer machines came in vogue, everybody had one. Nobody's picking the phone because you called them back in the day. You had to leave a message on the answer machine. And I would leave messages on the answer machine people would love to hear and couldn't wait to respond back to me. That's how good I got, because I got tired of being rejected. So I was like, hey, you know what? I understand you're not home. I would make sure I left the most delightful message on the answer machine, and people would call me back. Isn't that crazy? Yes, they screened the call, but I already had armed with me the responses that were going to be delightful to people so that they could follow up. And they heard it and they felt my energy, they felt my connection, they felt my abilities to communicate effectively. Now, here's what I tell you guys. I'm an introvert. I know I don't appear as an introvert, but I'm very much an introvert. If I don't have a strategy, if I don't have a system, if I don't have what I need to perform and know that I'm performing well, I don't feel like I'm performing well no matter what the feedback is that somebody might share with me. Because I feel like I didn't put the effort into it. I didn't do the practice. I didn't do the rehearsal. I didn't do the things that I know I should do in order to perfect my craft. And so on my way to becoming more and more proficient at everything I do, I'm always developing systems, strategies, techniques, those things that I know will work for the people that I need to work with when it comes to my referral sources, when it comes to my boards of advisors and advisory councils that I put together, when it comes to my investors, when it comes to my high-level clients. And I get tons of referrals from all of those people that keep me going. So it's super important that you listen and understand these business development mindsets, strategies that I'm sharing with you. These 8 steps. I got to step number 5 today. I'm going to repeat those steps next week, and then we're going to get into steps number 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Okay, guys, I had a great time. I think you did. I hope you did at least. I know that it to be a lot to do this, and I appreciate any of you all who try. If you have questions about anything, let me be a resource for you. Type it in the chat. Type the questions in the chat. You know, give me your contact information. I will respond. I will check you out. This is beautiful. Thank you very much. I saw someone's responding. I don't know their name because it's at Jasnoor Singh Hora. Thank you very much for responding. I really appreciate your effort. Hopefully you had a good time and you're able to share with us, more at next week, because we'll be back next week, same time, with a brand new program, and we're going to get into the other final steps of the business development mindset. I look forward to talking to you guys and working through that real soon. I love you. Thank you so much for your participation, for your engagement, for your passion. Hopefully you had something to share. Hopefully you learned something. If not, again, you could go back in to the on-demand section and see this video and engage at a later date. No worries. Thank you very much. It's Coach Powell signing off. Thank you very much.